Minister of Finance says he looks forward to the island bouncing back as quick as possible and not having to depend on external finances at all. St. Martin Trust Fund approves $12 million for digital government transformation project, and Prime Minister sets the record straight. Those are the headlines for Friday, March the 26th, 2021. Good evening, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast prepared for you, so let's get started. In our first story, the Honorable Prime Minister of St. Martin, Sylvia Jacobs, accompanied by the faction leader of the National Alliance in Parliament, the Honorable William Marlin, jointly held a press conference on Thursday, March the 25th. The purpose of the media briefing was, according to them, to set the record straight regarding the proposed Caribbean Body for Reform and Development, COHO. During the press conference, the two government officials further expounded on the proposals by the State Secretary of Interior Affairs and Kingdom Relations, Raymond Knops, to establish the Caribbean Body for Reform and Development. In this evening's newscast, we will first hear from the Honorable Prime Minister, Sylvia Jacobs.
As you all know, I have been in Parliament quite a couple of times to give clarity to Parliament as representatives of the people in terms of what St. Martin's government is facing as we sit around the table to have discussions, dialogue, negotiations with our kingdom partners to be able to receive liquidity support. As you can all recall, back in 2020, we were confronted with an entity that the Netherlands was proposing to regulate, to monitor the expenditures, as well as to assist in the development, sustainable development of the island. While we agree that certain reforms are indeed necessary, we did not agree with the proposal that was made for the COHO. That was back in July in the Kingdom Council of Ministers of July 10th. We even set forth a counter-proposal whereby we clearly stated, and all three countries actually had stated in that 10th of July meeting, that the authorities of the COHO were too far-reaching. At the time it was called the CRE or the CHE, depending on which language you were talking. But it was basically Caribbean Reform Entity and later became Caribbean Entity for Reform and Development, as our countries felt that development also should play a role, not just reform. So as countries, while we agreed that we needed to make improvements, I was able to, in those Kingdom Council of Ministers, also point out that St. Martin wasn't solely responsible for where we were, having our budgets constantly being told that they have to be lean budgets as a recommendation of the CFT, which was another kingdom law which was agreed upon when we became country, that financial supervision would be necessary, etc. We all know that story. So here we are now with another entity being introduced, and being told that as a prerequisite to continue to receive liquidity support, you have to agree to this. The countries within the Caribbean didn't agree with the manner. It was more than what we called an indecent proposal. It was a forced consensus because of the fact that each island capitulated once they were not able to financially sustain themselves. And so we also, back in December of 2020, agreed to follow the trajectory towards the realization of the COHO, agreed also to start to work on reforms within what is called the country package. And so there are two separate things, but they are linked in that the Netherlands intended that the COHO would be the entity that would manage the country package on behalf of the Netherlands. Since December, the government administration under the Secretary General platform has been working together with each ministry to realize what we as St. Martin see are the objectives fitting with the country package proposals from the Netherlands. As such, we see where A lot of it was based on assumptions. A lot of research has already taken place, but of course, based on the priorities that we've set for the first year, still more research needs to be done. And so last week, we approved an implementation agenda or implementation plan to realize such. Parliament insisted on a meeting that included the cohort. It's inextricably linked, that is true, but that is not where we are right now. What the people of St. Martin need to understand is that there is a trajectory for legislation and specific legislation that pertains to the entire kingdom. Once it leaves the Kingdom Council of Ministers, which it did since November, once we added our 2 cents to the questions and or the concerns, in addition to what Curaçao and Aruba had already lodged, these questions were added to what had been sent to the Kingdom Council of State, Raad van State, and the Raad van State had to issue its advice. Now, usually that advice goes to the government, and then the government makes whatever changes, just like we do when our Council of Advice sends it then back to the Council of Ministers, in this case the Kingdom Council of Ministers, and then it goes to Parliament, or in this case the second chamber. So this project, or this trajectory, to realize the cohort is currently at the stage where an advice has been rendered. Because it's been leaked, as countries we've agreed that we will publicize it. We've shared it with our parliaments. We've shared it, we've also shared the law itself with the parliaments. And we now have to have discussions on governmental level, executive branch, within the kingdom to determine what the report, the follow-up report will be. Those meetings are slated to start tomorrow. As country of St. Martin, we have requested an extension for that meeting. Haven't had a response, so I expect the meeting will probably continue. I believe as Caribbean countries, we are stronger together. But right now, we have a unique opportunity, especially since it's been leaked. And everyone knows that exactly what we said back in July, back in August, and all throughout the time moving here, that the manner in which this came about was not a real consensus. 2, the authorities that the cohort proposes go far beyond, and we only agreed to something. In the end, we will only agree with something in the end that does not infringe on our local, kingdom, and international laws.
Meanwhile, party faction leader of the National Alliance and second chairperson of Parliament, the Honourable William Marlin, said that he thinks it is important that they remind people how we got here, as certain members of Parliament are trying to mislead the public by constantly issuing press releases and bashing the Prime Minister, the government, and the coalition. The Member of Parliament expounded further.
I think it is important that we remind people as to how we got here. I used that topic not too long ago in Parliament, and I think it's fitting now again, because what we see, certain members of Parliament are trying to mislead the public by constantly issuing press releases, bashing the Prime Minister, bashing government, and basically bashing the coalition as well, and claiming to be standing alone, fighting for the people of St. Martin, that they have always been against. And now the latest is, you see, I told you so. I told you all along. You see, I was right. Absolutely not true. I'm not saying it's not true that the member in question did not have concerns or did not object, but it is not standing alone, because on July 8th, the Parliament of St. Martin unanimously, not 12, not 13, not 11, not 9, all 15 members of Parliament, after a meeting, after hearing, getting the information from the Prime Minister that in order for us to get liquidity support, they had to give in to this entity, the Caribbean Reform Entity. Unanimously, we adopted a motion basically rejecting it. We did not get the full details of it, but it was in broad lines, this is what it would be. And in our discussions and in our motion, we told the Prime Minister and by extension the Kingdom government, not acceptable to St. Martin. We agreed in order for St. Martin to get liquidity for the process to continue. Because it is 8 months ago that this entity was introduced as an idea, and it is only now 8 months after, almost 9 months, because we're already at the end of March, almost 9 months after, that finally the Council of Advice, the Kingdom Council of State rather, submitted their advice, which is the now notorious leaked document. In it, St. Martin, Aruba and Curacao basically have been vindicated. Vindicated in the sense that the things that we were objecting to, I've said ever so often, if this is what country means, then I don't want to be a country in the kingdom, not under these conditions. If this is what we agreed to in 2010, if this is how it is intended to function, then no, then we are in the wrong boat. We are in the wrong direction. We felt at the time that you were being abused, you were being blackmailed, like I experienced back in 2017 as Prime Minister, and I called it then an indecent proposal. This is a similar situation because the countries are flat on their back. You come extend assistance in the right hand, but in the left hand you have a whip beating us into submission because you have the might, and therefore you feel whatever you do is right. And the manner in which it was done, I can remember telling the Prime Minister, I'm happy I'm not in your shoes at this time, because at one end it is painful to see your people basically suffering. Businesses were closing. No tourists were coming. We were, before that, under lockdown. We got assistance then. Now it's like, hey, we need more. And then you're being told, well, we're coming with an entity. Technically, what they were coming with, the proposal was and entailed an alternative government. So rather than Parliament retaining its dignity as Parliament and representatives of the people, controlling the government, calling government to order, questioning government, when government brings a proposal, like we have now, for instance, the penal code, government brought the penal code and Parliament is saying, hey, no, we got to take a look at this. And Parliament is busy reviewing it, and Parliament will be coming with changes to it. And here too, if we are going to carry out reforms in St. Martin that are necessary, if we are going to put a gaming control board in place, if we are going to change our laws, our tax laws, our tax system, whatever it is we are going to change, it is we want to make that change, and we have to decide how we would want to make that change. Is advice welcome? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. We are not saying we are the only ones who know how to do it. Support? Definitely. Because we are very much lacking in capacity in terms of human resources. We don't have enough people to move things forward. Financially, there too we are struggling. And therefore, yes, the idea of helping us, financially helping us, with advice, helping us technically, we fully support that. We fully support that.
And SXM Daily News has just learned that Holland has frozen aid to St. Martin. The National Council of Ministers has today decided to no longer provide liquidity support to St. Martin as long as the states do not unambiguously confirm that they support the agreement previously concluded with the Jacobs Cabinet. This means that the Netherlands will not transfer the 39 million guilders that the St. Martin government needs to be able to meet its payment obligations to Philipsburg for the time being. While this has not been confirmed by the Prime Minister of St. Martin up to broadcast time, we will, however, keep you abreast of the current situation as we receive confirmation and further details from our Prime Minister. And still to come, USP MPs get presentation on ATS. I'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save mortgage offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waive of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save mortgage offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. As we continue now in other news, members of Parliament of the United St. Martin Party, USP, Akeem Arundel and Claudia Stonecham Camper, and their support staff met with the audit team St. Martin ATS on Tuesday, February the 24th, 2021, to gather some more information of the works the ATS is currently carrying out and is capable of carrying out. During the meeting, a presentation was given on the purpose, the functions, and the intentions of the audit team St. Martin, which was established on the island by the Social and Health Insurances SZV in January of 2016, with the aim of replacing the SBAB, the Stichting Belasting Accountant Bureau, in order to save on travel and accommodation costs and to attract and retain St. Martin-born experts in the interest of continuity. The main objective of the audit team, St. Martin ATS, is to increase compliance and to promote regular payment of the Social Security premiums, ensuring in this way that all companies pay their fair share of taxes in accordance with the Social Security ordinances. Audit Team St. Martin ATS collaborates with various public and private entities, bringing them up to date with the social laws and in complete compliance with the social premium payments. ATS's task is to control the social premiums by way of checking the businesses on behalf of SZV. ATS employs only St. Martiners. In the event of a shortage of expertise, suitable applicants are sent abroad to acquire the necessary education in the required fields. ATS strives to become a full-fledged St. Martin agency, not a subsidized or dependent on technical assistance from the Netherlands or Curaçao. Their goal is to heighten awareness in complying with all of the stipulations of Social Security ordinances and to offer all companies support with the administrative overviews of the different premium payments and with correct and complete registration of companies, the release reads in part. And turning now to other news, Minister of Finance, the Honorable Adwell Edion, fielding questions at the Council of Ministers' weekly press briefing on Wednesday last, was asked about Moody's downgrading our current rating and what does that mean for the average St. Martiner on the street, and what also is being done to make sure we don't see further downgrades. The minister said it was a request by the previous government, and he explained further.
In regards to Moody's and our conversation with them, this request for Moody's started, I believe, in 2018, 2019 by a previous government. So it isn't that Moody's came on their own and decided to do a rating. It was a request of a previous government according to what was stated by them. And it had to do at the time with looking at airport financing and so forth. And even in the conversations with them, they basically say, you know, since St. Martin does not borrow money on the outside market, on the international market, in essence, the rate, well, how should I say? The rating isn't as, let's say, significant as for a country that does borrow on the outside market, because we borrow within the kingdom and so forth. What was a bit confusing for them was understanding the relationship with Holland and, let's say, the discussions that we were having last year in regards to the bond loan and so forth. And in particular, at the time, they were concerned that if we didn't get an agreement, that we would not be able to repay the loan from the Netherlands. So that was the main thing at that time. And they didn't get a clear answer as to what will happen, will we come to an agreement and so forth. And once we can show that we have an agreement in place, and since then we already have an agreement for the loan from last year, so that's already a big difference already.
Meanwhile, the minister also responded to a question posed to him regarding the Council of State and the Council of Advice. He was asked if he anticipates that St. Martin will be able to roll back on the cuts that were demanded by the Dutch. The minister said he looks forward to the island bouncing back as quickly as possible and not having to depend on external finances at all.
In regards to the advice, I will, in respect to what was already stated before and in respect for the Prime Minister, in regards to the confidentiality of the document, I prefer not to make any mentions to the advice currently. And the Prime Minister even mentioned that by the time the advice actually reached to Parliament, where it has to be debated, and where our Parliament of Aruba, Curacao, even the Netherlands gets an opportunity and a say in it, will be more than likely totally different. So yes, I do look forward in general to the country getting better. I look forward to, and I'm very enthusiastic as much as Dr. Sock for the crews coming on board. And for me, it's even more important that we bounce back as quick as possible. We get our economy up and running as quick as possible. And because at the end of the day, my hope is not to have to depend on external finances at all. So, and with that being said, with that being done, we would on our own be able to decide we don't need any conditions and so forth. So by having our economy back up and running, I'm also advocating for us to get vaccinated, register, because that's another way of also, and it's the best marketing that we have currently to say, hey, we are fully vaccinated by hurricane season. So I encourage our population to get vaccinated. Also, our brothers and sisters on the French side to get vaccinated, for those of you who are tuning in, because I understood the numbers there are a little lower, because we can't do this without the other side. And also the importance of being vaccinated is to keep the chances of creating a newer and stronger variant to the minimum. So for me, it's more important. For me, the more important thing is what we are going to do to get our economy back up and running, to not have to depend on external finances.
Now, turning to other news, the U.S. $12 million digital government transformation project was approved by the St. Martin Recovery, Reconstruction, and Resilience Trust Fund recently. This project aims to enhance the access, efficiency, and resilience of public services for citizens and businesses. Given St. Martin's vulnerability to natural disasters, business continuity and systems resilience are critical. Bringing key government services online can make the country more resilient to further disasters, while also making citizens and businesses' daily lives easier, said Michelle Keane, World Bank Program Manager for the St. Martin Trust Fund. The project will finance digital platforms and associated institutional regulatory reforms to lay the foundations for digital government. Digital government can help citizens receive faster responses to requests, use online payment options, and digitally access public services such as receiving certificates of good conduct and filing building permits. The business community will also benefit through automating processes such as economic license acquisition. Access to government services will be available on kiosk machines, an online portal, and mobile applications, which are expected to enhance access, efficiency, and speed of public services. The project will also improve local capacity and assist the government to recover from disasters, pandemics, and cyber attacks. The release also reads in part. Now, turning to our weather forecast for March the 26th, 2021. Pockets of moisture at the lower levels of the atmosphere will cause a few brief showers across the region. A strengthened Atlantic high-pressure system will maintain gentle to moderate winds. Seas will peak at 7 feet during the next few days. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Sunday midday, fair to partly cloudy and breezy with brief showers possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, TLM Group carrying out underground cable repairs in Welgelegen Road on Saturday. I'll have the details to that story right after this.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast. Fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. This is SXM Daily News. And as we end this edition of SXM News for this evening and also this week, TLM Group technicians and contractors will return to the Cahill area this Saturday, March the 27th, to once again carry out maintenance works. This time, they will be replacing damaged and corroded underground cables on the main road to the St. Martin Medical Center, Welgelegen Road. Work crews were in Cahill last Saturday, where they successfully upgraded a telephone cabinet in the vicinity of Koyman on the AJC Browers Road. This Saturday, which is tomorrow, a work crew will be replacing corroded telecommunication cables lying underground on the Welgelegen Road. Work is scheduled to begin at 6 a.m. in the morning and end at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, weather permitting. TLM Group says that during this time of works, service to homes and businesses along the Welgelegen Road will be affected, including the Rahul Illich Sports Complex, and the following roads may also be temporarily interrupted at different times of the day: Puma Road, Bison Road, Antelope Road, Hyena Road, Jackal Road, Cougar Road. TLM Group Manager Outside Plant Cyril Priest says that Saturday's works will once again be on the company's copper network and apologizes to the customers in Cahill for any inconvenience that this may cause and these interruptions in service on Saturday. And with that, everyone, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening and also this week. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again on Monday. do enjoy a safe weekend.